Yes. Today we have Ulysses, the third poem written by Sir Alfred Tennyson. As I told you that this poem, Ulysses, is a companion to another poem called Tithonus. And here we see that we have similarities, okay, and differences. When I say similarities and differences, I mean thematically speaking, okay, we are going to make or to hold comparison between Tithonus and Ulysses and to show the differences and the similarities between these two figures and characters. And again, Ulysses and Tithonus are compatible to each other and they are complementary. I mean by complementary that thematically they complete each other. Both of them, Ulysses and Tithonus, are written in the technique of dramatic monologue. And today we have again to distinguish between soliloquy and dramatic monologue. What is meant by soliloquy and dramatic monologue? As you know, it's, or what we call it, soliloquy is a technique used in writing drama, and you are familiar with a lot of soliloquies, okay? For example, we have soliloquy in Dr. Faustus, okay? And the most famous, yes, Julius Caesar, and the most famous soliloquy in the, let me say, world of literature is Shakespeare's Hamlet, okay? We see in this play, William Shakespeare uses 5 soliloquies, okay? And the most important one is this famous statement by Hamlet when he says to be or not to be, that is the question. And soliloquy means, okay, to think loudly, to let your inner voice be heard, okay, by the audience, because what is inside you, the ideas, the conflicts, the problems, the crises, okay, should be unfolded and revealed to the audience. Then, in a drama, the character speaks loudly, revealing what's inside him. But when we come to dramatic monologue is or means, mono, it means one. As we have dialogue, it means 2 persons to speak with each other. But when we come to monologue, it means mono, it means 1 person whom we call persona. In literature, we call him persona, okay, standing on the stage, okay, starting telling his story. And we see that the speaker usually uses the pronoun I, okay, because he talks about himself. Again, we see that he uses some, let me say, techniques in his, let me say, way of speech. For example, the imperative verbs, come, go. Why? Because these verbs will create such atmosphere that we have not only one person, we have characters around. But in reality, these characters have no any physical existence, just out of our imagination as audience to think that there are characters. Again, the speaker uses what is called action verbs. Okay, I will go, I will sit, as if he is moving on the stage. And dramatic monologue is a technique that is widely used in the Victorian age by a lot of, or by many poets like Alfred Tennyson, Matthew Arnold, Robert Browning. And Robert Browning, that we will study him later, is the, let me say, master of dramatic monologue. Yes, and we have more than one poem with Robert Browning written in such technique. Yes. And now we come to Ulysses. Ulysses is taken, this figure, I mean the name Ulysses, taken from legends, okay, the Greek legends, okay, and then we call him legendary character. And the legendary character is different from the mythical character. The mythical character has no real, let me say, existence in the world, okay? It is out of the imagination of people. Then we see that Tithonus, for example, okay, is not a real character. Mythical character, Tithonus. But when we come to Ulysses, we are going to see, no, he's legendary character and he has reality, but with exaggeration. His power, okay, his personality is exaggerated by writers, okay, then he has, or we have in history, such personality. Yes. Again, Ulysses is a very famous, okay, character in literature, okay, and we, for example, James Joyce, okay, that you will study his novel for the second semester with Mr. Khalid, okay, the writer of A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man, has another novel called Ulysses, one of the most difficult novels, by the way. Why? Because thematically, the technique, okay, are so complex and difficult. Yes. Back to our Ulysses in this poem. Ulysses in this poem, okay, reflects the general mood of the English people in the Victorian age. He represents the duty of the white man. When I say the white man, I mean the English people, okay? And his responsibility to discover the world. If you remember, okay, in the beginning of my lectures, okay, concerning the Victorian age, we talked about imperialism. Imperialism, it means to invade, to occupy, to imperialize, to colonize, okay, new lands. Then we see that Ulysses represents this, let me say, mood of people to travel, to go abroad, to discover new nations, new citizens, new cultures, new civilizations, okay, to increase knowledge and to be names and يكونوا أسماء in this world. You know that the road of being a name, I mean a well-known name, a famous name, okay, what needs to sacrifice? To sacrifice your time, sometimes to sacrifice your family, to leave them, okay, to sacrifice your body for the sake of knowledge. Knowledge is difficult. The way of reaching perfect knowledge is difficult, okay, and there are a lot of barriers which encounter us to reach our goal, to be, let me say, highlighted people in society. It is not easy, okay, to fulfill your message, your, let me say, duty in this world unless you sacrifice sometimes your personal matters. And again we see in the beginning of this poem, the poet says, "It little profit that an idle king." He is a king, by the way, and he has a lot of, let me say, duties, because he is a responsible man. He's not a, what? An ordinary one, like me and you. No, he's a king, okay? The supreme authority in the kingdom. "It little profit that an idle king by this still hearth among these barren gracks, matched with an aged wife, I meet and dole unequal load into the race, that hoard and sleep and feed and know not me." Here, from the beginning, we see that the character, Ulysses, is full of determination to leave his family. He says, there is no advantage gained Profit, it means what? Benefit, advantage. To gain when you sit where before the fireplace. Hearth, it means fireplace. And from this setting, we understand that it's winter. It's very cold. And he suffers from the coldness of the atmosphere and the coldness of the soul. And life around him is still. There is no any movement. There is no any change. It's a static life. He suffers from stagnation. الجمود, الركود. And you know, like him, Ulysses is what? Ulysses is a dynamic character. He wants to travel, to go abroad, not to live, okay, in such, let me say, house before the fireplace with the burning cracks, with the walls or confined to the four walls of his room, or to sit beside his aged wife. Oh, we see that his wife is what? Is very aged one. And then we see that they are not equal in minds. She is a woman, she is uneducated, she has no experience, and she is aged. I mean by age that there is no any interest in her. Therefore he says, oh, I am Ulysses. It is not believable, okay, to sit with my wife. Time is not to sit with such aged one. Then, and not only to sit with my wife, and to give laws and rules, and to be indulged and involved with the problems of my uneducated people. He means his nation, the citizens of his kingdom. They are savage, they are illiterate and uneducated. Therefore, he says, and the job of his people, the citizens, to sleep and to eat, or to eat and sleep. Look, he says to sleep and feed. They have no any job at all. And then he says that they never know me. Here we see that Ulysses suffers from alienation, isolation. No one appreciates his talent. No one appreciates his name. His wife doesn't understand him. His people never regard his mind. Ulysses, therefore, this is not my right place. I have to leave, okay, the kingdom. I can't or I cannot rest from travel. Look to this statement. He wants to get or to travel abroad, to continue life. Because in a travel you will discover new nations, new lands, new people, new civilizations, new language. Then he says, this is my new job. I cannot rest from travel. I will drink life to the least. That means I will drink the cup of life. Here he compares life to what? To a cup of wine. A delicious wine. Okay? And he is going to drink this cup to the least, never letting any part, yes, any drop of it. This is what the most important, let me say, metaphor that is used in this poem when he compares life to a cup of wine, to a cup of water, okay, that he wants to say that I'm thirsty. Atshan, I want to drink the cup of life. All the drops, not to leave any, let me say, drop in this life or in this cup. Yes. All times I have enjoyed greatly, have suffered greatly, both with those that loved me and alone on shore. And when through scudding drifts the rainy hides, fix the dim sea, I am become a name. How to become a name? Why I am Ulysses today? Because what? I have enjoyed greatly, have suffered. When you want to be a name, you have to suffer. Yes, suffering is part of your life. I told you that easiness never leads you to happiness. No, this is not the equation. يعني الكسل والسهولة لا تؤدي إلى السعادة. Contrary, in the beginning you have to suffer a lot. For example, now in your let me say, you have to, then in the end you will get your fruit. Yes. Then he says, I did my name, I achieved, I realized my name, okay, with people who loved me, sometimes alone, to fight this world, okay, on shore, on land. That means to ride the seas, أركب البحار, to climb the mountains. I became a name. I am become a name. For always roaming with a hungry heart. What kind of heart that he has? He has a hungry heart. Look, not a hungry stomach, by the way. Yes, not to be busy with your food all the time. No, he says, my heart is hungry for what? For knowledge. Let your heart be hungry for knowledge. Yes. Much have I seen, unknown cities of men and manners, climates, councils, governments, myself not least, but honored of them all. All of those people I met in my life, I am, or I have the honor. I am higher, I am nobler than all these people in this world. I am not lesser than. Those who are great, I am greater than. Yes, don't be satisfied with yourself to say, this is my end. Now I got MA or PhD or BA, this is my end. No. Why they are higher than me? I will be higher than. Because when you are a man, you have a mind, you are full of determination. Then why you stop? Why you pause like Tithonus, if you remember Tithonus? Okay, I want to be buried. I want to go down to earth. No, we see that Ulysses is different. He's a spiritual man, by the way. Not like that person physically. He asked Aurora because he was so interested in her beauty, and he asked what? Her to marry him. But this person wants to leave his wife because she is aged, by the way. Yes, I think if she is young, the idea is not like this. Yes. Myself not least, but honored of them all, and drunk delight of battle with my peers, my friends. Really, I enjoy the wars that was with my friends. Far on the ringing plains, it means Suhul, okay? Of windy Troy it means Torwade. Yes, I am a part of all that I have met. Yet all experience is an arch where through gleam that untraveled world whose margin fades. Look to this, let me say, image, metaphor that is used by the poet. He says that what? That knowledge is like an art. That means like this, okay? And the light is in the end. When you approach the light is going to be far away from you. Then there is no end, okay? The nearer you close, the further goes. It means knowledge, okay, goes further and further. Then you cannot get knowledge easily. There is no end for knowledge, like what? A fading light. كالضوء المتلاشي. When for example, you read this book, say, okay, now I'm satisfied with knowledge. No. You discover new, and then new, and then till you end your life, and knowledge cannot be completed. Knowledge, okay, is very, let me say, or running fast, and we have to run after. Yes. Yet all experience is an arch where through gleams that untraveled world whose margin, you know margin? Nihayat, at the end, fades. Forever and forever when I move, how dull is to pause. If you remember Tithonus, he wanted to pause, to give up life, to stop life, but our poet here, or our character says, no, not to pause. Again, this is the difference between Ulysses and Tithonus. To make an end, to trust unpunished, not to shine in use. Here he compares seeking knowledge